Welcome back, everyone, to English with Speak Smart. I'm Jane, and I'm so excited to be here today with my fantastic co-host, Lucy.
Thanks, Jane. And hey there, listeners. I'm Lucy, and today we're tackling a topic that I know resonates with so many of you: mastering essential business English phrases. It's not just about knowing the words, is it, Jane? It's about knowing how and when to use them.
Absolutely, Lucy. You can have a great vocabulary, but if you're not using the right idioms or the right tone in a professional setting, it can really hinder your communication. We want to help our listeners sound not just fluent, but truly polished and confident in the workplace.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. How many times have you been in a meeting and you know exactly what you want to say, but you struggle to phrase it professionally or politely? It's a common challenge.
All the time. Even as native speakers, sometimes you're searching for that perfect phrase. So today, we're going to dive into some key areas, providing you with practical phrases and, of course, some real conversation practice.
Awesome. Where should we start? I think a great place is often the beginning of things, like starting a meeting or a discussion. You want to set the right tone, right?
Couldn't agree more. Instead of just saying, okay, let's start, which is fine but a bit informal, you could try something like, let's get started, shall we? Or, thank you all for coming. A classic one is to state the purpose. The main purpose of today's meeting is to discuss, or, I'd like to kick things off by reviewing our Q3 performance.
Oh, kick things off is a great one. I hear that all the time. It sounds very natural. So if I were leading a team meeting to plan our next project, I might say, "Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'd like to kick things off by outlining our objectives for the new Project Phoenix."
Perfect, Lucy. See how much more professional and engaging that sounds. It sets a clear agenda and welcomes everyone. Let's move on to expressing agreement or disagreement, because this is where things can get tricky. You want to be clear, but also respectful, especially when disagreeing.
Absolutely. Just saying no, you're wrong is definitely not going to fly in a professional environment.
Exactly. For agreement, simple phrases like, I couldn't agree more, or, that's a very valid point, work wonderfully. You can also say, you've hit the nail on the head if you want to be a bit more idiomatic, but make sure your audience understands it. For disagreement, soften it. Try, I see your point, but I'm concerned about, or, I understand where you're coming from, however, I have a slightly different perspective.
Oh, I understand where you're coming from. That's a fantastic buffer phrase. It acknowledges their contribution before you present an alternative. So if someone suggested a marketing strategy I wasn't keen on, I might say, I understand where you're coming from regarding the social media campaign. However, I believe focusing on email marketing might yield better ROI at this stage.
Spot on, Lucy. That sounds polite yet firm. Another one for polite disagreement is, with all due respect, I'm not sure that's entirely accurate, which is quite formal but very effective in specific situations. Now, how about making suggestions or recommendations? This is a crucial skill for contributing proactively.
Definitely. You want your ideas to be heard without sounding like you're dictating. I often struggle with this one. I tend to just blurt out, we should do X, which isn't always the best approach.
Understandable. Instead, try using softer, more collaborative language. Phrases like, perhaps we could consider, or, how about we try, are great. You could also say, my recommendation would be to, or, it might be beneficial to explore. These phrases invite discussion rather than demanding action.
I like, it might be beneficial to explore. That sounds so thoughtful. So if we were brainstorming solutions for a project delay, I could say, it might be beneficial to explore bringing in a temporary contractor to help us meet the deadline.
Excellent example. It opens the door for others to chime in and discuss the feasibility. Let's move on to asking for clarification or repetition. It's so important not to pretend you understand something when you don't. It's better to ask than to make a mistake later.
Oh, tell me about it. I've been there nodding along only to realize I missed a crucial detail. What are some good ways to ask without sounding like you weren't paying attention?
Good question. Instead of what, try, could you elaborate on that please, or could you run that by me one more time? This is very common. You can also say, just to clarify, are you saying that we need to finalize the report by Friday? Or, if you're completely lost, I'm not sure I follow. Could you explain that in a different way?
Could you run that by me one more time is a fantastic one. It implies you heard it but just want to confirm, rather than admitting you completely spaced out. So if my manager was giving complex instructions, I might interject with, sorry, just to clarify, are you asking us to prioritize client A's proposal over client B's for now?
Exactly. It shows engagement and ensures accuracy. And that actually leads us perfectly into our next category, interrupting politely. Because sometimes you do need to jump in, right?
Oh, absolutely. Especially in fast-paced discussions, if you wait too long, your point might become irrelevant or the conversation moves on. But how do you do it without being rude?
It's all about those softening phrases. Try, excuse me for interrupting, but I have a quick question. Or, may I just jump in here for a moment? Another good one is, if I could just add something to that point. And if you really need to cut someone off, sorry to cut you off, but I think it's important to mention.
Those are so useful. I always feel a bit awkward interrupting, but these give me the tools to do it gracefully. So if a colleague was going off topic, I might say, excuse me for interrupting, but just to bring us back to the main agenda, could we focus on the budget proposal?
That's perfect, Lucy. It's direct but still courteous. Okay, now for a big one, giving feedback. This can be sensitive, so choosing your words carefully is paramount.
Oh, feedback is a minefield if not handled correctly. How do you give constructive criticism without demotivating someone?
The key is to focus on the work, not the person, and to offer solutions or areas for improvement rather than just pointing out flaws. Start by saying something positive or acknowledging their effort. For example, I wanted to touch base on your presentation from yesterday. I really appreciate the effort you put into gathering all the data. Then, segue into the constructive part. One area we could potentially improve on is the clarity of the conclusions. Or, perhaps next time, it might be more effective to include a summary slide at the beginning.
That touch base phrase is great for initiating the conversation. It sounds less confrontational than, I need to talk to you about your presentation. And focusing on one area we could potentially improve on is much better than your conclusions were unclear. So if I needed to give feedback on a report, I could say, I wanted to touch base on your latest report. The research you did was incredibly thorough. However, I think it might be more effective if we could condense the introduction slightly for conciseness.
Excellent, Lucy. That's a perfect example of balanced, constructive feedback. It shows appreciation while still offering clear guidance. This kind of communication builds trust and helps people grow. Let's talk about handling difficult conversations. Sometimes you have to address sensitive issues, and having the right phrases can make a world of difference.
Oh, this is a tough one for many, including myself. It's easy to shy away from difficult topics, but addressing them professionally is crucial. What are some phrases that can help ease into these conversations?
Right. You want to be direct but empathetic. You could start with something like, I need to discuss something sensitive with you. Or, I wanted to chat about an issue that's come to my attention. If it's about performance, you might say, I've noticed a recent pattern of X, and I wanted to understand what might be contributing to it. This opens a dialogue rather than making an accusation. Also, how do you feel about this situation is great for getting their perspective.
Those are powerful. I've noticed a recent pattern of X is particularly good because it's factual and non-judgmental. So if I needed to talk to a team member about consistently missing deadlines, I could say, I've noticed a recent pattern of missed deadlines on Project Gamma, and I wanted to understand what challenges you might be facing.
That's a fantastic approach, Lucy. It's clear, objective, and shows that you're open to hearing their side. It's about finding a solution together. Now, finally, let's look at concluding a meeting or discussion. You want to make sure everyone leaves on the same page with clear next steps.
Absolutely. A good ending ensures productivity and avoids confusion. What are the best ways to wrap things up efficiently?
To wrap things up, you can use phrases like, to wrap things up, or, so to summarize, our action points are, it's essential to reiterate key decisions and assign responsibilities. Thank you everyone for your valuable input is a nice way to show appreciation. And for follow-up, let's schedule a follow-up for next week to review our progress.
I love to wrap things up and so to summarize. They're clear signals that the meeting is coming to a close and it's time to consolidate information. So after a big discussion, I could say, to wrap things up, we've decided to proceed with option B and I'll send out the action points by end of day. Thank you for your active participation today.
Perfect, Lucy. That covers all the bases. You've summarized, assigned an action, and expressed gratitude. These phrases, when used correctly, don't just make you sound good, they make you a more effective communicator, which is invaluable in any workplace.
They really do. It's about building confidence and ensuring your message is always received as intended. And the practice we just did where we tried out the phrases in mini scenarios, I think that's the real key to making them stick.
100%. Don't just learn these phrases, practice them. Try integrating one new phrase into your emails or conversations each week. Listen for them in meetings too. The more you hear and use them, the more natural they'll become.
And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. Nobody gets it perfect overnight. But by consciously working on these business English phrases, you'll see a significant improvement in how you're perceived professionally.
That's so true. So listeners, we hope this episode has given you some practical tools to enhance your business English skills. Which phrases are you going to try out first? Let us know.
Yes, we'd love to hear from you. You can find us on all your favorite podcast platforms, and remember to check out our website, speaksmartenglish.com, for more resources. Thanks for tuning in to English
With Speak Smart. Until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and speak smart. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.